But we're going to begin tonight with the latest coronavirus numbers that we just got from county health officials. There are 279 new cases. That's 3% of the more than 8,500 tests. The rolling average now 3.3%. Unfortunately, there was one death reported and one community outbreak, which was in a business. Of those 279 new cases, 8 of them are connected to San Diego State University. So that brings the total cases connected to SDSU to 1,072. For more on the COVID cases across our local college campuses, here's News 8's Brendan Lewis from SDSU.
Now, Steve and Alicia, the good news is that the rate of cases here at SDSU is starting to decrease. However, classes are set to begin this week at UC San Diego. Officials there say they are implementing lessons learned from SDSU. The SDSU campus remains quiet as in-person classes remain suspended. The number of students who tested positive for coronavirus surpassed 1,000 over the weekend, and more are expected. Still, the county health department says the rate of new cases is slowing compared to the past few weeks. The mile marker comes as UC San Diego prepares to resume classes this week. Move-in was spread out over 10 days, with the last of more than 11,000 students returning Monday. Online, parents praised the process so far, with one calling it a breeze. Another said it was well organized and staff made the process easy. But a man who identified himself as an SDSU student cautioned the return to campus, citing the cases among Aztecs. County Health says it's worked with all schools to prepare.
When a specific case comes up, we actually work with the university, its student health services, and their planners who are involved with their reopening plans to immediately work to institute the public health precautions of isolation, quarantine, contact tracing.
While SDSU suspended in-person learning, UC San Diego will hold 12% of classes in person. They're capped at 25% capacity or 50 students, and residence halls are at 50% capacity. They also held drills to prepare for a potential outbreak. But it's students' behavior that's one factor administrators can't outright control.
This particular age group has been involved with these types of social activities really across the county, whether it's in San Diego State for this specific outbreak or previous episodes during the summer in other parts of the county.
Health officials say of the SDSU students that have tested positive, just about 11% of them were asymptomatic, meaning almost 90% were showing symptoms of COVID-19.
A van slammed into a man this morning, killing him, and now San Diego homicide investigators say that driver may have actually hit him on purpose. Happened around 3:30 this morning in Old Town in the 4100 block of Wallace Street. The woman was detained and questioned. Investigators say the man and woman are transients. They didn't know each other and had gotten into an argument hours earlier. We're awaiting word on any charges that she might now be facing. We are also waiting to hear about possible charges for a man who was taken into custody last night after a 5-hour standoff with police in Hillcrest. It started around 4 o'clock. An employee of the Hillcrest Health and Rehab Center found a transient who was showering in the laundry room at the facility there. The man, who was believed to be armed, reportedly vandalized the room and then barricaded himself inside. After police negotiators made contact, the man did surrender without incident around 9 o'clock. A San Diego charter boat out on a fishing trip comes across a boat in serious distress. They say the vessel was stranded and full of people left out at sea for days by a human smuggler. News 8's Monique Griego has more on how the rescue unfolded.
Well, the Islander, a charter boat, was returning from a trip when it spotted that boat full of people who have been trapped out in the ocean for days, and then helped get them help and report it to authorities.
I can't tow you into Mexico.
Cell phone video shows a dramatic scene unfolding off the Baja California coast.
I can call the Coast Guard.
The Islander, a charter boat from San Diego, returning from an overnight fishing trip when they came across a boat drifting in the dark in the middle of the ocean around 10:30 at night.
We have a girl that drives at night for us, and she swung the door in and said that there were a bunch of people on a boat screaming and waving lights like 100 yards off our starboard side.
John Conniff is the owner and captain of the Islander.
In these waters, you don't necessarily want to stop every time you see somebody on a boat, but we could tell it was people that needed help, so we came over and gave them assistance.
Conniff says in the boat were 18 people, including several children, who told them they had been left at sea by a human smuggler.
And there was one guy on there that spoke pretty good English, and he was able to communicate that they had been adrift for the last 5 days. They were out of food and water. They had started cutting up the inside of the boat to make big oars to try to paddle the boat, but that wasn't working out.
Conniff, who says he was around 48 miles away from San Diego, called the Coast Guard, who contacted the Mexican Navy, who he says towed the group to safety in Mexico.
It was kind of surreal, you know. You see a lot in the news about that stuff that goes on, and obviously we see a lot of stuff in these waters here, but that's the first time that I've come in contact with a boat full of people that were that desperate, you know, and I'm not the only guy that I know in this fleet that's run into that same situation.
And while mariners, he says, do see a lot in the open ocean, seeing this side of humanity, people in such desperate need, it really struck a chord with him.
Politics aside, when there's 18 people stuck in the middle of the ocean, you're going to do whatever you can to help them out.
And again, we were told that the people were given to the Mexican Navy to be taken to Mexico since the incident happened in Mexican waters, so we weren't able to confirm a lot of information with U.S. authorities. Monique Riego, News 8.
That crew in the right place at the right time. Monique, thank you. Well, after a nice start to fall across San Diego, dangerous fire conditions, unfortunately, they're going to be quickly returning. Santa Ana winds expected to begin kicking up tonight and especially into tomorrow and later in the week. San Diego Fire Rescue is boosting staff just in case. They're going to have helicopters on standby and extra equipment ready to roll.
Throughout the city of San Diego, we have many urban canyons, and it populates really most neighborhoods. So certainly all residents and visitors should be prepared.
And they recommend clearing any dried leaves and branches from your gutters and around from your home. And by preparing a go bag that has those important documents and personal items so you can get out quickly. Well, because of that fire threat, SDG&E has notified 700 East County customers of potential safety shutoffs as Santa Ana winds return tonight. Communities that may be affected include Boulevard, Campo, Descanso, Jamul, Santa Isabel, and a number of reservations. SDG&E has activated its Emergency Operations Center to monitor those conditions around the clock. Well, now for a look at when those conditions are going to kick in and how long they're going to last. Let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Sean Stiles. He's been following all of this now and has a first look in your microclimate forecast. A lot going on, Sean.
Indeed, Steve, and I'm sure everyone can recall the heavy rain we saw in the late winter, early spring. Well, all that had turned to starter fuels, grasses, and so once we get an ignition point, boy, those flames can spread fast. The heat and low humidity has had the National Weather Service issue a red flag warning that will start tomorrow morning very early and last into tomorrow night. However, they'll probably extend it even more. The Santa Ana winds will kick up and be up to 40 miles per hour. We'll have low heat and high temperatures, making for extreme fire danger. And the hottest day of the week will probably occur on Wednesday, with those temperatures pushing into the upper 100s. So we're talking about some very dangerous weather conditions heading our way.